The fastest way to lose respect is not failure. It's lowering yourself to be accepted, explaining yourself to people who don't listen, apologizing when you did nothing wrong, staying silent about your values just to keep the peace. Most people don't realize when it happens. It feels harmless, it feels polite, it feels necessary. Until one day you look at yourself and think, when did I start betraying my own dignity? Stoic philosophy warned about this thousands of years ago. The Stoics believed that once you lower yourself for approval, you don't gain acceptance, you lose authority. They didn't teach arrogance, they didn't teach dominance, they taught self-respect without apology. Today, you'll learn 5 Stoic lessons that show you how to never lower yourself for anyone. Not in relationships, not at work, not in moments of pressure or loneliness. These lessons won't make you cold. They won't make you aggressive. They will make you grounded, composed, and unshakable. If you're ready to stop seeking validation and start standing in your own worth, stay with me and comment below. I keep my dignity. 1. Never beg for respect. Respect is not something you ask for, and it's not something you negotiate. The moment you beg for respect, you signal that you don't fully believe you deserve it. Most people don't beg openly. They beg indirectly. They over-explain their decisions. They justify boundaries they're allowed to have. They apologize just to reduce tension. They try to be understood by people who have already decided not to listen. It feels reasonable. It feels mature. But Stoicism sees it clearly. What you beg for, you place above yourself. The Stoics believed dignity comes from posture, not physical posture, but inner posture. How you carry yourself when misunderstood, how you respond when disrespected, how you behave when approval is withheld. If you collapse inward, you teach others that pressure works on you. And once people learn that, they don't respect you more. They test you more. This is why Stoics warned against excessive explanation. Not because explanation is wrong, but because needing to be validated is costly. There is a difference between clarity and pleading. Clarity sounds like this. This is my decision. Pleading sounds like this. Let me explain again why this makes sense. One comes from self-command, the other comes from insecurity. Stoicism teaches that respect follows consistency, not persuasion. You don't convince people you deserve respect. You behave as if you already have it. That means you state your position once, calmly. You don't chase agreement. You don't perform emotional labor for people who don't reciprocate it. This doesn't make you rude. It makes you clear. And clarity is intimidating to those who rely on confusion and guilt. Think about how often people lower themselves trying to fix a dynamic. They send longer messages. They soften their tone too much. They keep giving ground to keep things smooth. But smoothness built on self-betrayal always collapses. The Stoics chose something harder and stronger. They accepted that not everyone will approve, not everyone will understand, not everyone will stay. And they were fine with that, because self-respect is not built by being agreeable. It's built by being aligned. Aligned with your values, aligned with your boundaries, aligned with your own judgment. When you stop begging for respect, something important happens. You speak less, but with more weight. You explain less, but with more confidence. You tolerate less, but without anger. And people adjust. Some rise to meet you, some fall away. Both outcomes are correct. The Stoic does not chase respect. He embodies it. And that begins the moment you decide, I will not lower myself to be accepted. In the next lesson, you'll learn why silence, when used correctly, is one of the strongest tools Stoicism offers to protect dignity without conflict or aggression. 2. Silence protects dignity. Most people think silence means weakness. They believe that if they don't speak, they will lose control of the narrative. If they don't explain, they will be misunderstood. If they don't defend themselves, they will lose respect. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Silence, when chosen deliberately, is not submission. It is self-command. The Stoics understood that not every moment requires your voice. Some moments require your restraint. When you speak impulsively, you give away information. You reveal emotion. You expose insecurity. When you remain silent, you create space. And in that space, other people reveal themselves. This is why silence protects dignity. It prevents you from lowering yourself to match someone else's chaos. Think about how often people talk themselves into weakness. They respond immediately to provocation. They defend against accusations that don't deserve answers. They argue with people who aren't interested in truth, only control. Every unnecessary word is a step downward. Stoicism does not tell you to be mute. It teaches discernment. There is a time to speak, when clarity is needed, when truth must be stated, when boundaries must be named. And there is a time to remain silent, when the conversation has become emotional, manipulative, or pointless. Silence in those moments is not avoidance, it is refusal. Refusal to argue for your worth. Refusal to justify your principles. Refusal to react just to be seen. The Stoics believed dignity is preserved by not participating in degrading exchanges. You don't correct every misunderstanding. You don't respond to every provocation. You don't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Silence becomes a filter. Those who respect you lean in. Those who seek power over you grow uncomfortable. This is why silence often feels difficult at first. It triggers the fear of being misjudged. But Stoicism teaches that being misunderstood is less damaging than betraying your own composure. Over time, silence changes how you are perceived. You appear calmer, more grounded, less reactive. Your words carry more weight because you no longer spend them carelessly. And internally, something even more important happens. You stop measuring yourself by how others respond. You stop needing immediate validation. You start trusting your own judgment. This is dignity in its pure form, not loud, not defensive, not performative, just solid. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means you know when not to speak, and that knowledge alone prevents you from lowering yourself in moments that test your self-respect. In the next lesson, you'll learn why shrinking yourself to fit in is one of the most subtle and destructive ways people abandon their dignity without realizing it. 3. Don't shrink yourself to be accepted. One of the quietest ways people lose dignity is not through conflict, but through self-reduction. They speak less honestly, they hide opinions, they downplay strengths, they soften boundaries, not because they believe it's right, but because they fear standing out. They want to belong. They want to be liked. They want to avoid friction, so they shrink. Stoicism saw this as a serious mistake, not because belonging is bad, but because belonging at the cost of self-respect is too expensive. The Stoics believed that a person should never reduce their character to fit into an environment that demands self-betrayal. If you must make yourself smaller to be tolerated, you're not in the wrong place temporarily. You are in the wrong place fundamentally. Most people don't notice when this starts. It happens subtly. You hesitate before speaking. You second-guess your standards. You let things slide that bother you. You tell yourself it's not worth it. But over time, something erodes. Not your confidence, your identity. You forget where you end and where others begin. Stoicism teaches a different path. You do not adjust your values to match the room. You bring your values into the room and observe what happens. Some people will respect you more. Some will distance themselves. Some will feel threatened. All of that is information. The Stoic does not panic when separation occurs. He understands that alignment matters more than acceptance. There is no dignity in being welcomed for a version of yourself that is incomplete, and there is no loss in being excluded for refusing to abandon your principles. This lesson applies everywhere. In relationships, where people stay quiet to avoid abandonment. At work, where people lower standards to stay comfortable. In social groups, where fitting in becomes more important than being honest. Stoicism asks one simple question: who are you becoming by staying silent here? If the answer is someone smaller, then silence is no longer wisdom, it's surrender. The Stoics did not teach confrontation for its own sake. They taught presence. You don't need to announce your values loudly. You don't need to dominate the room. You simply refuse to disappear. You speak when it matters. You act according to principle. You accept the consequences without resentment. And here's the paradox. When you stop shrinking, you don't become isolated. You become clear. Clear people attract the right environments, the right relationships, the right respect. Even solitude, when chosen with integrity, is better than connection built on self-erasure. Stoicism reminds us, you're not here to be digestible, you're here to be true. And the moment you stop shrinking to be accepted is the moment you stop lowering yourself for anyone. In the next lesson, you'll learn why detachment, often misunderstood as coldness, is actually one of the strongest forms of inner power Stoicism offers. For detachment is power, not coldness. Many people fear detachment because they confuse it with indifference. They think if they stop chasing, they will lose connection. If they stop caring so much, they will become cold. If they let go, they will be alone. Stoicism teaches something far more precise. Detachment is not the absence of care. It is the absence of dependency. The Stoic does not cling. He does not chase. He does not bargain for emotional security. Why? Because anything you need can be used against you. When you fear losing someone's approval, you lower yourself to keep it. When you fear abandonment, you tolerate disrespect. When you fear being alone, you accept conditions that violate your dignity. Detachment ends that leverage. It restores balance. The Stoics understood that attachment becomes dangerous when it compromises virtue. You can value people deeply without surrendering your self-respect. You can care without chasing. You can love without pleading. Detachment simply means this: I am complete whether you stay or go. That posture changes everything. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating boundaries. You stop reacting from fear. And people feel it, not as coldness, but as stability. Detachment removes desperation from your behavior, and desperation is the fastest way to lower yourself. Think about how often people stay stuck because they're afraid to let go. They remain in draining relationships. They keep responding to disrespect. They keep giving energy where it is not returned, not because they don't see the problem, but because they fear the space that comes after leaving. Stoicism reframes that fear. Space is not emptiness. Space is freedom. Freedom to choose again. Freedom to breathe. Freedom to realign with yourself. The Stoics didn't dramatize departure. They didn't announce it. They didn't threaten it. They simply withdrew investment, quietly, calmly, without resentment. This is where detachment becomes power. You don't argue your way out of unhealthy dynamics. You don't explain your way into respect. You stop feeding what drains you. And what is healthy either adjusts or falls away. Both outcomes restore dignity. Detachment also protects you internally. You stop tying your worth to how others behave. You stop measuring yourself by who stays or leaves. Your self-respect becomes self-contained, and that is real strength. The Stoic does not need to burn bridges. He simply stops crossing them unnecessarily. He understands that peace is more valuable than proving a point, and that walking away with composure is often the highest form of self-respect. In the final lesson, you'll learn the deepest Stoic principle of all. Why living by values instead of validation is the only way to ensure you never lower yourself, no matter the situation. 5. Live by values, not validation. This is the final lesson, and it's the most important one. Because every time you lower yourself, it traces back to the same root cause. You traded values for validation. You wanted approval. You wanted reassurance. You wanted to be seen as good, reasonable, or enough. And in that exchange, you gave away something far more valuable: your alignment. Stoicism teaches that dignity does not come from how others respond to you. It comes from how closely your actions match your principles. The moment you let validation guide your behavior, you become unstable. Your confidence rises and falls based on reactions you don't control. Praise lifts you. Silence unsettles you. Criticism bends you. That is not strength. That is dependency. The Stoics rejected this completely. They lived by a simple rule: do what is right, even if no one applauds, even if no one notices, even if it costs you comfort. They understood that validation is fleeting, but values are permanent. When you live by values, something profound happens internally. You stop asking, "Do they approve of me?" and start asking, "Did I act according to my standards?" That question alone protects your dignity, because now your worth is not negotiated externally, it is measured internally. This is why Stoics were calm under criticism. They didn't need to defend themselves emotionally. They didn't need to perform for approval. If they acted with integrity, they slept well. If they didn't, they corrected themselves, quietly. No drama, no justification. Living by values does not make life easier. It makes it clearer. Clear choices, clear boundaries, clear conscience. You may lose some approval, you may disappoint some people, you may stand alone at times, but you will never feel the deep shame of knowing you betrayed yourself. And that trade is always worth it. Most people lower themselves gradually. A small compromise here, a quiet silence there, until one day they don't recognize who they've become. Stoicism stops that erosion. It reminds you, you're not here to be validated. You are here to live honorably. Validation fades, status shifts, opinions change, character remains. And when you live by values instead of validation, there is no situation, no person, no pressure that can force you to lower yourself, because you already stand on solid ground. In the next and final section, we'll bring these 5 lessons together and close with a reminder of what it truly means to live with Stoic dignity. Final reflection. Dignity is a daily choice. Lowering yourself rarely happens all at once. It happens quietly, in small compromises, in moments where you choose comfort over character. That's why the Stoics didn't teach perfection. They taught awareness and restraint. Today, you learned 5 lessons. Never beg for respect. Use silence to protect your dignity. Don't shrink yourself to be accepted. Understand that detachment is strength, not coldness. And above all, live by values, not validation. These are not tactics. They are standards. And standards only matter when they're tested, when you're misunderstood, when you feel lonely, when approval is tempting, when lowering yourself seems easier than standing firm. Stoicism reminds you of one simple truth. You don't rise by stepping on others, and you don't belong by stepping on yourself. Dignity is not loud. It doesn't argue. It doesn't explain itself endlessly. It stands. It waits. It chooses carefully. And every time you choose not to betray yourself, you reinforce who you are becoming. Not someone superior, but someone solid. If one of these lessons resonated with you, leave a comment with the one that hit hardest. And if you're committed to living with Stoic self-respect, subscribe for more philosophy that strengthens character, not ego. Remember this: you don't need to lower yourself for anyone when you stand on your principles.